Hi, my name is Annabelle, and this is me, or at least what I'd like to portray myself as. In this video, I'll be taking you on a journey, my very own language landscape. But first, I'd like to introduce you to my family. This is my mum, the best one, might I add, and this is my little sister, Madeleine. I love them heaps. As a kid, I loved learning. I was what one may call a teacher's pet, and I loved the praise. I loved learning how to write and read heaps of Dutch books. But English? My dad's British, so English was seen as mandatory, and as any kid did, I wouldn't learn it. From time to time, my dad read me bedtime stories, in English, of course, but I refused to listen and just tried to fall asleep as quickly as possible, which, now that I come to think of it, wasn't the best idea of revenge. I would rate my Dutch around a B2 C1 level. I can create a detailed and well-structured text on a wide range of topics. I can interact without much strain for me nor others, and I can also understand a wide range of text and conversations. Flash forward to 2013, and I just started secondary school at Willem Blauw. Because I did bilingual classes, I got to go to England, Oxford to be specific, and I had the time of my life. I fell in love with the language and the fast-paced life people were living. It charmed me. Because of my interest in learning when I was little, I already knew the tiniest bit of French. And somehow, that impressed my now friends, and even the teacher. I ended up choosing French as one of my exam subjects, which I passed. It hasn't improved much, but it's a little. I would rate my French around A2 or B1 level. I can understand topics about my family, work and school. I can describe events, emotions and opinions, and I can create very simple text. Then the second year rolled around, and my English got better and better. But then I had to learn German, and that language is like my kryptonite. I studied so hard, and yet I couldn't get my grades up. Around this time, my sister started to get English lessons in primary school, and, well, every time she was convinced that she was right and the teacher was wrong about something, I'd hear about it, and of course was forced to choose her side. I tell her to solve it herself, but every time she left reluctantly. I did the third year twice, because why not? My parents got into a messy divorce around this time, and I started to lose myself into fantasy books and science fiction. Lord of the Rings, to be in particular. As any nerdy, lonely kid will do, I started learning Tangwar, which is the language the elves speak. I'll come back to this later, but right now I'd consider myself around A1 or A2 level. More importantly, since my dad was gone and I was the only English-speaking person left in the household, I started to lose myself and my identity. I wasn't sure to which country I belonged, and my English was starting to overtake my Dutch. And yet I had no one to share it with. Did I belong to Great Britain or the Netherlands? The fourth year rolled around, and I figured out something really cliché. Who cares if I don't tie my identity to a country? Nobody does. My friends still support me, and that was the thing that mattered most to me. At the end of my fifth year, I got my HAVO diploma and successfully finished the International Baccalaureate program with a 6 out of the 7 points. And my God, was I proud. I also had the highest mark for geography out of all the school. So, cool. I would rate my English around a C1 or C2 level because I can understand almost everything with ease. I can use the language for social, academic, or professional situations, and I can express myself in complex situations.
For the future. I love con languages, which are languages spoken by fantasy characters in science fiction media. From the linguistics to simply speaking it, I find it mesmerizing and special. I'd love to continue learning Tangwar, as I mentioned before. It sounds a bit like this.
It has a different alphabet than we do. You should Google it sometimes. It looks quite cool. It sounds a bit like this.
I think it sounds similar to Valerian. which is a language spoken in the Game of Thrones universe next to many others, and it sounds a bit like this.
Ela astropotistan. Astropot dohe trossa, si rinyo ingatiorzi. Dairi. Hembar yunkai otistan. Yunkai dohe trossa, si rinyo ingatiorzi. Dairi.
I haven't written to Valerian much, but I'd love to soon. These are two languages that I'd love to speak, but there are so many more, like Russian and Chinese. Thanks for watching, and ne lue govanet